ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। So welcome to IBC Siksha. We are continuing from chapter 15, verse number 15. Very important verse. Very important verse. So a small recap. Krishna talks about inverted tree in this chapter, and he says this inverted tree is the is where living entities are living, and they are trying to enjoy this inverted tree with artha dharma, artha, kama, moksha, various activities, various fruits, and the tree is just expanding, and the living entity is jumping from one branch to another. So with the power of detachment, one should cut this tree. With the power of devotional service, one should cut this tree and return to the original place where the real tree exists. Where the real tree exists. So, after telling this, Krishna then talks about many more things about himself. He says, I am splendor of the sun. I am the fire in the digestion. I enter into each planet. I digest all the foodstuffs. Then we read the last thing is 15th verse. Very important verse. सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मतः स्मृतिर्ज्ञानम् अपोहनं च वैदेश्य सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृत् वेदविदेव चाहम्. So this verse we discussed last time, and Krishna says, I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So Krishna is sitting in everyone's heart, and he sits. How does he sit? Like he sits as Paramatma.
Paramatma Prabhuji.
Yeah, four-handed form of Krishna. There is no difference between four-handed form of Krishna, Narayan, Vishnu, and two-handed form of Krishna. It is just that where they are depends. If they are acting as Paramatma, then it is like office. But when they are at home, when Krishna is at home, then it's two-handed form. You can think like that. Okay. So, yeah. So Krishna is seated in everyone's heart, and from him comes remembrance. So whatever we are remembering or we are made remembered of is done by Krishna. Whatever knowledge we are given is given by Krishna. And when we forget, that forgetfulness also happens by Krishna. So if we forget something, then should we blame Krishna? Yes or no?
No, Prabhuji.
Why? Because he says he's giving forgetfulness. Then how come if we forget something, then we should blame him, right?
No, but he
No,
has
Prabhuji,
given us free
forgetting.
will. We have given he has given us free will, so we can choose to remember him.
Yeah. So because we have free will, we commit some activities, and depending on that activities, Krishna gives us remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. depending on that. So when he gives us this three, it is dependent on our, karma. If our karma is favorable, then we are made to remember certain things, we are made to forgetful certain things, like that. But if our karma is bad and we want to do bad things, then Krishna makes us remember how to do the bad things, forget of how to do good things, and give us knowledge how to do bad things. So that's how neutral he is in Paramatma's position. That is how neutral he is. Because it is our desire, he just reciprocates. And then he says, by all the Vedas, I am to be known. So when we study the Vedas, whom we should ultimately know, Krishna. And I am the compiler of Vedanta and I am the knower of the Vedas. Krishna compiled Vedanta and he knower of the Vedas. Okay. Now we get into our next verse, 16, and probably we will finish 4 more verses and finish this chapter. There are 2 classes of beings, the fallible, infallible. Now this is very interesting. 3-4 verses now, very very interesting verses. So we'll get into it. There are 2 classes of beings, the fallible and infallible. In the spiritual world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is infallible. So 2 classes of beings are there. Beings means those who live. There are 2 classes only, fallible, infallible. Just like a coin has 2 sides, right? Heads and tail, right? Left and right, right? Similarly, there are 2 classes. One is fallible, one is infallible. Okay. Interestingly, I will just jump a little bit. We'll go to the next verse and we'll try to understand. So Krishna says there are 2 classes of being. Besides these 2, there is the greatest living personality, the supreme soul, the imperishable Lord himself, who has entered the 3 worlds and is maintaining them. So if a coin has 2 sides, can there be a third side to it? No, right? Similarly, there are 2 classes of beings, and there is a third class which is not even considered fallible and infallible. It doesn't even come into this category of fallible, infallible. Fallible means what? To fall down, right? To be influenced. Infallible means no influence. It cannot fall down. Okay. Besides these 2, there is a greatest living personality. Now, how can there be a third definition? There can be either fall down or not fall down, right? How can there be a third definition? There will be a third which even fall down and non fall down doesn't apply to the third. Can you understand this? Can you understand this?
Yes, Prabhuji. Is Paramatma.
So Paramatma, that's fine. But the thing is, we can't even label the Paramatma fallible or infallible. That is the greatness of Krishna. That we
Prabhuji, I have a question here.
ah,
So, in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna uses the word Achyuta to call Krishna.
one
Achyuta
who
means
doesn't fail.
what? Achyuta means
One who doesn't fail.
one who doesn't fail, not fall, Prabhuji.
Not fall. One who doesn't fail. So
Okay.
okay. So the thing is, Krishna may be called infallible. Okay. Incapable of making mistakes or being wrong. Okay, he can be called that because this is true for him. But this definition is, he's not under this definition. Okay, he's even beyond this definition. That is what we need to understand. See, we can call something as black and white. Okay, but there is a third color which is even beyond black and white. It's like that. Or these definitions cannot be applied to Krishna. We can say he's infallible, but he's even greater than infallible. Okay, we just cannot even apply that to him. You understand this thing? Meaning
Yes,
we
yes.
we we can tell him you're infallible and all this, but infallible means, um, if someone tries to fall you, you will come infallible, something like that, right? But that possibility also cannot be applied to him. Krishna says this here,
Yes.
because I am transcendental beyond both and fallible and infallible, because I am the greatest, I am celebrated in both worlds in the Vedas as a supreme person. So this is what I'm trying to understand, that fallible, infallible, out of the two, if you want to explain Krishna, we will say infallible, right? We'll say, Krishna, you're
Yes.
not fallible, you are infallible, right?
Yes.
Prabhuji.
But Krishna is saying, I'm even beyond fallible and infallible. Meaning such thing cannot be applied also. Like, um, let's say, uh, okay, there are signals on the road, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Now, when Prime Minister passes, do the signals affect him?
No, no, no.
Traffic
Yeah,
is made to stand still both the sides.
yeah, and even if it is red, still he will go.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so he's transcendental, he's beyond this red light and green light. Okay, so this is what Krishna is trying to say, that among these two, you can tell me I'm infallible, but actually I'm beyond that also. Now, why we need to understand this logic? Why we need to understand this argument? The reason is, when people see Krishna's pastime, right? They apply material definitions to it. What is the definition? They apply material understanding to it. What it is? Oh, he is doing something wrong. He's dancing with other girls, right? He's telling lies. He's very
He is stealing,
political.
but
He's stealing person he is. But the
He's
thing is,
partial. He's
he's
partial.
partial. So such things, right? We apply it to ourselves and to people like us, right? But Krishna is even beyond this, meaning these definitions should not be applied to him. He's even greater than that. Like that it is. Like somebody saying, Prime Minister passing the red light, and somebody saying, oh, the red light should have stopped him. There is no definition like that to the passing of the vehicle of Prime Minister, right? At that point, that particular law of red signal doesn't apply also. It is like non-existent, right? Even though the traffic signals are there, they are non-existent when the Prime Minister is passing.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, this is what it means, that it is non-existent, meaning such definitions we can't even apply. Still, Krishna, if you want the best definition we can apply, is infallible. But at the same time, we should know that this fallible condition we can't even apply to that. Best possible explanation is infallible, but he is beyond that. So this is difficult to understand, but when we meet people of Mayavad philosophy and all that, right? They try to do this thing. Like they will say, "Oh, Krishna is immoral," but something within his body was telling all this knowledge, so that is right. But the thing is, Krishna's inside and outside is same. So therefore, such comparison, definitions, rules, laws, we can't even apply to Krishna. Once we understand this thing, right, then we engage in his devotional service. Whoever knows me as a supreme person of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic literature. So this is the most biggest secret of Krishna, that we cannot put Krishna under any limitation, under any law, under any consideration, under any definition also. Whoever understands this is wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. So we know this story, right? That there was a Brahmana and a cobbler. And when they came to know from Narad Muni that Narad Muni is visiting Narayan, they asked Narad Muni, please ask on our behalf when we will go back to God. And what did Narayan say? The cobbler will return, but the Brahmana won't return. And Narad Muni was shocked. He said, Brahmana is doing his service, great thing, he's pure. How come the Brahmana won't return? So then Narayan said, okay, when they ask you what I was doing, you tell them that I was trying to put an elephant in the eye of a needle. Okay. So the moment he says this to the Brahmana says, how it is possible, how it is possible. Anybody can no nobody can put elephant in the eye of a needle. It is not possible. It is not possible. But when it said to the cobbler said, oh, so great my lord is that he can put an elephant in the eye of a needle. Meaning certain activities are impossible for us, and they're impossible in our imagination also, right? But such things cannot be applied to Krishna. The moment we understand this thing, then we are wise, and our endeavors know perfection. Okay, does that help?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, yes.
Yeah. So applying material definitions to Krishna is waste of time. Okay. 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 Somebody read this purport.
I'll read Prabhuji.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
From as already explained.
Yes. Yes.
Hare Krishna. As already explained, the Lord in his incarnation as Vyasadeva compiled the Vedanta Sutra. Here the Lord is giving in summary the contents of the Vedanta Sutra. He says that the living entities who are innumerable can be divided into two classes, the fallible and the infallible. The living entities are eternally separated parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When they are in contact with the material world, they are called Jiva Bhuta. And the Sanskrit words given here, Ksharaha Sarvani Bhutani, mean that they are fallible. Those who are in oneness with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, are called infallible. Oneness does not mean that they have no individuality, but that there is no disunity. They are all agreeable to the purpose of the creation. Then again
Read
from
this highlighted
okay.
one.
Yeah. The living entities who are struggling in this world with the mind and five senses have their material bodies which are changing. As long as a living entity is conditioned, his body changes due to contact with matter. Matter is changing, so the living entity appears to be changing. But in the spiritual world, the body is not made of matter. Therefore, there is no change. In the material world, the living entity undergoes six changes: birth, growth, duration, reproduction, then dwindling and vanishing. These are the changes of the material body. But in the spiritual world, the body does not change. There is no old age, there is no birth, there is no death. Therefore, there all exists in oneness. Kshara Sarvani Bhutani. Any living entity who has come in contact with matter, beginning from the first created being, Brahma down to a small ant, is changing its body. Therefore, they are all fallible. In the spiritual world, however, they are always liberated in oneness.
Okay. So in the spiritual
Hare
world,
Krishna.
living entities are infallible because they have spiritual bodies which don't go under six changes. And the material world, the living entities take these bodies, okay, when they come in contact with matter. Then they get the body, and that's why they are fallible. But we can become infallible by turning to Krishna in devotional service. Besides these, there is the greatest living personality, the super soul, the supreme soul, the imperishable Lord himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. Somebody read purport.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. The idea of this verse is very nicely expressed in the Katha Upanishad 2.2.13 and Svetasvatara Upanishad 6.13. It is clearly stated there that above the innumerable living entities, some of whom are conditioned and some of whom are liberated, there is a supreme personality who is Paramatma. The Upanishad verse runs as follows: Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. The purport is that amongst all the living entities, both conditioned and liberated, there is one supreme living personality, the supreme personality of Godhead, who maintains them and gives them all the facility of enjoyment according to different work. That supreme personality of Godhead is situated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. A wise man who can understand him is eligible to attain perfect peace, not others. Harish.
Okay. Because I am transcendental beyond both the fallible and infallible, because I am the greatest. I am celebrated both in the world, in the Vedas, as that supreme person. So Krishna says, I am the greatest. Yasmaksharam aditoham aksharadapi chottamato loke vedecha prattah purushottamam. Uttama, best. I am the best. So who can say I am the greatest? Whoever says I am the greatest will fail, right? One day. Like,
Yes.
Muhammad Ali, he said, I am the greatest. But then he got Parkinson disease by which he cannot even lift his hand. So he is not greatest. He is just temporarily great. Okay. But when Krishna is greatest. So when Krishna was baby, is baby Krishna and two-handed form, I mean, baby Krishna and youth Krishna, are they same or are they different?
They're same, Prabhuji.
How come they are same?
Because Lord's body is not material. It is not subjected to all the six changes that a normal human being undergoes.
But it's changed, right? It changed. It changed from baby to youth. No?
Maybe just to attract his devotees, is to display his pastimes. He he shows like that. Maybe
So
Prabhuji.
how are the baby's pastime and the youth pastime? How are they same? Can you give me one example?
Baby plays with the toys
That is
When he was a
nothing.
and the
baby, also he was able to kill Putana, Prabhuji. When he
Yes.
was
Yeah. Yeah.
with
Yes.
he was a very small
So
baby, also he was
yes,
able to kill
he was
Putana.
able to kill Putana. He was able to kill Trinavata,
Kill Kamsa also when he
Shaktasura.
was.
Kamsa, he did it when he was young boy, right?
Hmm.
And in the baby form, when he took birth, he had jewelry on his body, and then he showed four-handed form of Vishnu. So any baby can he show a four-handed form of Vishnu? No, right? But Krishna showed by because he was playing that lila. Even in two-handed form baby, he has the same power of four-handed form Vishnu. So therefore, he is greatest. Even in a baby, he has the same amount of power and energy and influence and everything as he has when he's young, right? So Krishna never becomes God. He is God in all circumstances. This is one of the line in Krishna book. And therefore, Krishna is the only one who can say, I am the greatest.
Prabhuji, but still one question.
Yeah.
Now here in this six things are told: birth, there is growth, and and the living being stays like that for some time, and then uh, uh, produces like that. It's there. So in this, some are applied to Krishna also. No, like birth is not there, but he also grown, and he also stayed
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
youth throughout. So how to understand this? If Krishna is transcendental. Transcendental means no change, but Krishna changed from boy to I mean, like small baby to child, then youth.
So the thing is now, what happens is when a baby doesn't have that much power, energy, influence as a toddler may have, as a young person may have, right? But in Krishna's case, it was not like that. He was talking when he just took birth, and he showed his 400 form. Then he killed Putna and Trinavata and other so many demons. So
But
he
this
didn't have to
statement,
eat anything to grow. That was the point. Okay.
okay.
Yeah. He doesn't require anything to become something. He is God in all circumstance. Now the question is that apparently he's seen as he's growing. So that
Yes.
is his just Leela. Okay.
Okay.
That is his Leela. Material laws are not applying to him. He is just showing off that it is applying, but actually it is not applying. That's why he is transcendental.
Okay, Prabhu.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the thing. These six things cannot be applied to Krishna, even though he may show. In Mahabharata, it is said that when all the Yadus they died, then there was a body of Krishna also over there. But Krishna was present somewhere else with uh, with Uddhav and Maitreya Rishi, and from there he left. So why did Krishna do that? That at one side he showed there is a body and other side he's just leaving. The reason for that was so that atheist they can get bewildered by such things and they can still say, oh, Krishna was just a man. They can keep saying like that. So Krishna does like that. The atheists they love to find faults in him, and the way he says, okay, here is a fault, you take it, live with it, and they'll go around everything. But a devotee, he will listen to Bhagavatam, he will listen to the devotees of the Lord, and they will tell, actually, he did that. Na? It was just Maya, it was just a Leela. In reality, what happened is he was here and just the body was there, shadow body was there. It was just done to confuse people.
So that shadow body is also transcendental, Prabhuji? Or
No, Krishna desired that way, that his body be like that, and you know, his
okay.
primary queens they burnt in that with that body actually. His primary queens. Um, so the thing is, these are all leelas, so they have to be understood from a devotee, and they will clarify. So Krishna wanted to clarify all these things. So what he did was he told Uddhava to go to Narnarayan Rishi, where the other Rishi Munis were there. And there is where Uddhava started speaking how Krishna lived, how he was not, you know, uh, how he's still transcendental, how he is the Paramatma, how is beyond this material calculation and influence and all that. So Uddhava, as a living person, he went and he told the Nar Narayan Rishi. And with Nar Narayan Rishi, there were other Rishi Munis. So then the other Rishi Munis they understood that Krishna is Supreme Lord. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, somebody read this purport?
Shall I do, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
No one can surpass the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, neither the conditioned soul nor the liberated soul. He is therefore the greatest of personalities. Now it is clear here that the living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are individuals. The difference is that the living entities, either in the conditioned state or in the liberated state, cannot surpass in quantity the inconceivable potencies of the Supreme
Wait,
Personality
wait,
of Godhead.
wait. So there is this word used, inconceivable, achintya. So achintya means inconceivable. So that's why this is what Krishna is also trying to say. My powers are inconceivable, achintya. Don't try to even understand it, and if you try to understand it, you won't understand it. Like, uh, he opened his mouth to Mother Yashoda, and what did Mother Yashoda see?
The entire world.
In the universe.
And what did she see?
She saw herself.
Yeah, she saw herself and Krishna. Now I will show you. If you look at this, we can see the same screen inside the same screen, inside the same screen, inside the screen. This is called infinite screen. Okay, can you see this on the left hand side?
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So this is exactly what what Yashoda was seeing. Inside Krishna's mouth, she is seeing another Yashoda, same Yashoda and same Krishna. So the Vedas say that everything is inside him and still is outside of everything. Right? Have you heard this thing? He can walk and still
Yes.
he's one place. Okay. His eyes are everywhere, still he's in one place. So this pastime proves that when he opened his mouth, Yashoda saw herself and Krishna is opening his mouth, and in that also she saw another Yashoda opening, seeing Krishna's mouth, like that. So inconceivable, achintya. The moment we accept Krishna's potencies to be inconceivable, right, we will have peace. We won't have difficulty, and we will worship Krishna, and we will go back to God.
Inconceivable means unimaginable.
No. It's not unimaginable. Um, it means they cannot be, a material definition cannot be applied to it. Okay. Not capable of being imagined or grasped mentally, unbelievable.
Okay.
So we should accept Krishna's potencies to be unbelievable but believable. Okay. Unbelievable may make us confused, but we should know that it is inconceivably, it is unbelievably believable. I believe the unbelievability of Krishna's potency. Okay. I believe the inconceivability of Krishna's potency. It is incorrect to think that the Supreme Lord and the living entities as being on the same level or equal in all respects. There is always question of superiority, inferiority between these personalities. The word Uttama is so significant. No one can surpass the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yes, continue reading, Prabhuji. The word Loke. Continue. Who was reading?
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Continue. The word Loke.
The word Loke signifies in the Purusha Agama, the Smriti scriptures, as confirmed in the Nirukti dictionary. Lokyate Vedartho Nena. The purpose of the Vedas is explained by the Smriti scriptures. The Supreme Lord, in his localized aspect of Paramatma, is also described in the Vedas themselves. The following verse appears in the Vedas Chandogya Upanishad. Tavad Esha Samprasha. Prabhuji, you can read, Prabhuji.
Tavadesa samprasados masachat चरित्रात् समुत्थया परम ज्योति रूपम संपदया स्नेहन रूपेण अभिनिष्पदयते स उत्तम पुरुषः.
The super soul coming out of the body enters enters the impersonal Brahma Jyotir. Then in his form he remains in his spiritual identity. That supreme is called the supreme personality. This means that the supreme personality is exhibiting and diffusing his spiritual effulgence, which is the ultimate illumination. That supreme personality also has a localized aspect as Paramatma. By incarnating himself as the son of Satchavati and Parashara, he explains the Vedic knowledge as Vyasadeva.
Okay, so this is something technical, but yeah. Okay, 19th verse. Whoever knows me as a supreme personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in pure devotional service, in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. Yo mam evam asam mudo janati purushottamam sa sarvavid bhajate mam sarva bhavena Bharata. Asam mudho, without a doubt. One who knows that I am Purushottama, the supreme person of Godhead. What they do? They bhajati with full heart. They do bhajati of Krishna with full heart. Oh Arjuna. Yeah, someone read this purport.
Shall I, Prabhu?
Yeah.
There are many philosophical speculations about the constitutional position of the living entities and the supreme absolute truth. Now, in this verse, the Supreme Personality of Godhead clearly explains that anyone who knows Lord Krishna to be the Supreme Person is actually the knower of everything. The imperfect knower goes on simply speculating about the absolute truth, but the perfect knower, without wasting his valuable time, engages directly in Krishna consciousness, the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Throughout the world of Bhagavad Gita, this fact is being stressed at every step, and still there are so many stubborn commentators on Bhagavad Gita who consider the supreme absolute truth and the living entities to be one and the same. Vedic knowledge is called Shruti, learning by oral reception. One should actually receive the Vedic message from authorities like Krishna and his representatives. Here, Krishna distinguishes everything very nicely, and one should hear from this source. Simply to hear like the hogs is not sufficient. One must be able to understand from the authorities. It is not that one should simply speculate academically. One should submissively hear from Bhagavad Gita that these living entities are always subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anyone who is able to understand this, according to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, knows the purpose of the Vedas. No one else knows the purpose of the Vedas. The word bhajati is very significant. In many places, the word bhajati is expressed in relationship with the service of the Supreme Lord. If a person is engaged in full Krishna consciousness in the devotional service of the Lord, it is to be understood that he has understood all the Vedic knowledge. In the Vaishnava Parampara, it is said that if one is engaged in the devotional service of Krishna, then there is no need for any other spiritual process for understanding the supreme absolute truth. He has already come to the point because he is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. He has ended all preliminary processes of understanding. But if anyone, after speculating for hundreds of thousands of lives, does not come to the point that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and that one has to surrender there, all is speculation for so many years and lives is a useless waste of time. Thank you,
Okay.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
So yeah, we have to come to this conclusion that we have to do bhajati of Krishna. That is
Prabhuji,
devotion.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Regarding the last sloka, so as soon as the living entity lives in the purport, it is mentioned that as soon as living entity leaves the body, the Paramatma will go. No. The Paramatma will merge in Vishnu, something like that. It is mentioned. So my question is, when the soul goes to hell, won't Paramatma go along with the soul to hell? I mean, soul won't. Paramatma won't have anything. But it is told that Paramatma never leaves the soul.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So
uh,
first thing is where it is. what you were telling is explained by Prabhupada. Yeah. Those who are in oneness with the Supreme Person Godhead, however, are called infallible. Oneness does not mean that they have no individuality and that there is no disunity. They all agree to the purpose of creation. So oneness, when we talk about oneness, means they don't become God. The individuality still remains. Now, what happens when they go in hell? Right? That is your next question.
Yes.
Yeah, super soul also goes.
Super soul also goes.
Yeah, he also goes. It is not that he waits.
But
He
in the
goes.
purport, it is mentioned that it will go into Vishnu. Super soul goes into Vishnu.
No. That is how the super soul expands. So let me go there. The super soul coming out of the body enters impersonal Brahma Jyoti. This body is Krishna. Krishna's body, the super soul comes out, enters the impersonal Jyoti, then in his form he remains in the spiritual identity. That supreme is called that supreme is called the supreme personality. This means that supreme personality is exhibiting and diffusing his spiritual effulgence, which is the ultimate illumination. That supreme personality also has a localized Paramatma by incarnating himself as a son of Satyavati and Parashara. He explained the Vedic knowledge as Vyasadeva. So, so from Krishna's body come Brahmajyoti and Paramatma, both. That is what it means.
Oh,
Okay, you got this?
yes, Prabhuji.
I can show you. Meaning, there's a nice picture. Vedic cosmos. Okay. See, this is the whole universe. Actually, in this picture, it is much better. So here is. Let me put it. Now you can see, right? So this is a picture of the whole universe. Here is Radha Krishna. So this is Golok Vrindavan Dham. Next to it is Dwarka Dham, then Ayodhya Dham. Then this is all Madhuri Dham. Then comes the Vaikuntha Loka, where all Narayan, Vishnu, Narsimha, Buddha, Matsya, Pradyumna, Vasudeva, all these forms are there. And then comes Kailasa, where Sadashiv is there. Okay, not Lord Shiva, but exactly Sadashiv. Then comes Brahmajyoti. Brahmajyoti is the effulgence. In this effulgence, the Paramatma is also there. So the Paramatma then comes and expands and sits in every atom in the material world. And then Krishna expands as Mahavishnu, and from every pore of his one universe comes. In each universe, he again expands as Garbhodaksha Vishnu. From that navel comes Brahma, and he creates 14 planet system. This is how it is. Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So this is Brahma Jyoti. Yeah.
Prabhuji, one small doubt. Prabhuji, you said the universe. So, but like Goloka and all, it's spiritual kind of Prabhuji. You said it's universe. I'm getting confused. Entire universe.
Entire universe in sense spiritual plus material world. So this is spiritual plus material world.
Okay, so I thought universe means it means only material.
Okay. One material universe, many material universes, and universe can mean multiple things. Now, what it depends on context. So when I said universe in the initial one, I meant material plus spiritual world. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And when I go for this one universe, that is one material world. Okay, but this whole thing is all also material world, and there
Okay.
are many. other material universes. We are in one universe, okay? One.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So, yeah. So this is the most confidential part of Vedic scripture, O sinless one. It is now disclosed unto me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. So therefore, this chapter is called Purushottama. Purusha Uttama. Purushottama. Topmost Purushottam knowledge, perfect knowledge. Summary can read.
Which one, Prabhuji? Purport?
Yeah, purport.
Shall I read?
Yeah. Hmm.
The Lord clearly explains here that this is the substance of all revealed scriptures, and one should understand this as it is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, one will become intelligent and perfect in transcendental knowledge. In other words, by understanding this philosophy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engaging in his transcendental service, everyone can become freed from all contaminations of the modes of material nature. Devotional service is a process of spiritual understanding. Wherever devotional service exists, the material contamination cannot coexist. Devotional service to the Lord and the Lord Himself are one and the same because they are. Shall I read further?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Because they are spiritual. Devotional service are one and the same because they are spiritual. Devotional service takes place within the internal energy of the Supreme Lord. The Lord is said to be the sun, and ignorance is called darkness. Where the sun is present, there is no question of darkness. Therefore, whenever devotional service is present under the proper guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, there is no question of ignorance. Everyone must take to this consciousness of Krishna and engage in devotional service to become intelligent and purified. Unless one comes to this position of understanding Krishna and engages in devotional service, however intelligent he may be in the estimation of some common man, he is not perfectly intelligent. The word anaga, by which Arjuna is addressed, is significant. Anaga, O sinless one, means that unless one is free from all sinful reactions, it is very difficult to understand Krishna. One has to become free from all contamination, all sinful activities, then he can understand. But devotional service is so pure and potent that once one is engaged in devotional service, he automatically comes to the stage of sinlessness. While, while one is performing devotional service in the association of pure devotees in full Krishna consciousness, there are certain things which require to be vanquished altogether. The most important thing one has to surmount is weakness of the heart. The first fall down is caused by the desire to lord it over material nature. Thus, one gives up the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord. The second weakness of the heart is that as one increases the propensity to lord it over material nature, he becomes attached to matter and the possession of matter. The problems of material existence are due to these weaknesses of the heart. In this chapter, the first 5 verses describe the process of freeing oneself from these weaknesses of heart, and the rest of the chapter, from the sixth verse through the end, discusses the Purushottama Yoga. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So many things were discussed here. Devotional service is the sum and substance of all Vedic literature. Hmm? And when it exists, then there is no material contamination. One has to learn it under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, and one who does it is the most intelligent. So any degree of PhD, Brahmanical qualification, all that is is uh, is in front of devotional service is actually imperfect. So to make it perfect, one has to take to devotional service, and devotional service is um, is pure. And even if one may be sinful, but if they take to devotional service, they'll immediately come to sinless state. And when one comes to that state, then he can understand Krishna perfectly. And then Prabhupada talks, what is the difficulty in performing devotional service? One is the weakness of heart. There are two reasons. First is the desire to lord it over the material nature. I want to control. I want to enjoy. I want to control. I want to enjoy. And then becomes attached to matter and possessions of matter, thinking this is me and mine. So these are the two weaknesses. And Krishna talks about this in the very first verses. He says, what निर्माण मोह जित संग दोष अध्यात्म नित्य विनिमित्त कामः द्वंद्वैर विमुक्त सुख दुःख संगैर गच्छन्ति अवनु पदम अव्ययम तत्. Those who are freed from false prestige. So this is all weakness of heart. Prestige, illusion, false association, and who understand the eternal and who are done with material lust. Me and mine, and I want to enjoy this material life. Who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress. Who unbewildered know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. So this is the key. When we are performing devotional service, we should be free from false prestige, illusion, false association. We should understand that we are eternal, Krishna is eternal, spiritual world is eternal. We are done with material lust, enjoyment in this material world. We are not so much interested in it. We are done with it. We are only interested in serving Krishna. We are freed from the dualities of happiness and material distress. Buy a phone. Hey, Shilata, buy a phone. Okay. So, those who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress. This material world always gives us some happiness and distress, right? So, we are not carried away by it. We look at it in the same way. As one may look at distress, one may look at happiness the same way. And who unbewildered meaning they know that this material world, how it is working and all that. Then they surrender to the Supreme Lord. That then it can become very easy. The surrender to the Supreme Lord can become easy, and they attain the eternal kingdom. Okay. Any questions, comments?
Prabhuji, one question. So, when we are in the association of devotees, devotional service is easy. But the thing is, every time we won't get association of devotees. Sometimes we won't get online also. So during that stage, how to continue the devotional service with the same enthusiasm and with the same mood? How to carry that project?
Yeah. So the thing is, a nectar of instruction, Rupa Goswami tells us, how to continue. So that becomes a guiding book for us. Devotional service is spoiled when we become too entangled in following six activities: eating more than necessary, collecting more funds than required, over endeavoring for mundane things that are difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subjects, practicing spiritual rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting them completely, and working independently or whimsically, associating with worldly minded people who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, and being greedy for mundane achievements. Um, so when we are all alone and all that, we should see, what what kind of activities are we doing, and are we adhering to these six activities?
Regular doing of puja and offering food, prasadam, eating only prasadam. These are some of the devotional services, isn't it, Prabhuji?
Yes. What are the six favorable things? Being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, acting according to regulative principles like Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam,
Yeah.
abandoning the association of non-devotees, following the footsteps of previous acharyas. These six principles assure complete success.
Okay.
And when we are with the devotees, we should offer gifts, accept charitable gifts, reveal one's heart in confidence, inquire confidentially, serve them, accept prasad, offer prasad. We should mentally honor a devotee who chants the holy name, offer humble obeisances to has taken undergone initiation and is engaged in the worship of the deity. One should associate and faithfully serve the pure devotee. Now, this is the key. Those who are advanced devotee, we should try to serve them. Whatever little chance we get, this will guarantee every other quality that we are looking for. Okay.
But in day-to-day life, these things are not possible now,
So
Prabhuji.
the thing is this serving the pure devotee, this chance, it comes in every devotee's life. It comes, and we should do it sincerely. When we are following Srila Prabhupada's instructions, when we are doing book distribution, we are chanting sincerely, we are faithfully worshipping, serving that pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada. And when we take initiation, then we serve our spiritual master. We follow the same rules, regulations, and whatever instruction our spiritual master has given.
Okay.
So when we are alone, right? That was the question, right? When we are alone, how to do it, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So two parts to it. First is when we are not alone, when we are with devotees, then we should be very careful and we should serve them and we should be very enthusiastic and we should be endeavoring with confidence and all that with when we are with devotees. Okay. And we should serve them. We should
Oh,
inquire and reveal one's heart to them, not to all devotees, to very trusted devotees. Okay. And then when we are alone, we will get this energy to continue in the same mode. So what we do when we are with the devotees, we continue when we are all alone. So remember that. And
okay,
when we are
Prabhuji.
all alone, then we should follow all these regulative principles. So Krishna says this thing, in 12th chapter. He very interestingly he points all these things. He says, let's see. He says, fix your mind upon me. With engage all your intelligence in me. This way you will live without doubt. Okay. But can we fix our mind on Krishna? At our stage, we are trying, right? So therefore, Krishna says in 9th verse, he says, "Oh winner of wealth, Arjuna, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga and then develop a desire to attain me." So this is what we are all doing. We are developing a desire by following the regulative principles. So what are those? So Prabhupada puts that in this purport.
Shravanam Kirtanam.
Yeah. To practice regulative principles of bhakti, one should, under the guidance of an expert spiritual master, follow certain principles. We have to follow certain principles. One should rise early in the morning, take bath, enter the temple, offer prayers, chant Hare Krishna, collect flowers to offer the deities, cook foodstuffs to offer to Krishna, take prasadam, and so on. These are various rules and regulations, and we should constantly do these things. We should constantly hear Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, pure devotees. This practice, how will help to the rise to the love of to the level of love of God, and he's sure of this progress. So remember this verse 12:9, 12.9,
Okay.
and we should practice bhakti yoga under the direction of spiritual master. So we are all practicing sadhana yoga, sadhana bhakti. So this is what is sadhana bhakti, 12.9, and take the help of nectar of instruction also. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay. Any other question or comment? Okay. So no questions. So let's meet tomorrow and we'll continue with the 16th chapter.